Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei and I'm so excited to paint with you today. Well, today I am going to paint a little fox illustration. I have kind of drawn it out a little bit here already. I am going to kind of go over the parts and elements if you want to draw it yourself. I'm just going to lighten these lines a little bit and we'll kind of go over the steps I took to draw this. So the first thing I did was before we get started, so sorry. Why I'm using a Balhong watercolor sketchbook, 6x9, 140-pound cold press, 100% cotton paper. I have my core watercolor paints, QOR by Golden. Whatever watercolor paints you have, I'll go over colors as we go. They don't have to be exact. You're going to need orange and something black and something green. I keep hitting my camera. And last but not least, I also have two brushes, size 10 and a size 3 round brushes and a pencil. All right, so let's get into our little foxy here. So basically, you're going to see there's a big C shape here. I wanted to make the whole thing round. So they're curled up in this nice round ball. And you make a big C shape all the way to the top, okay? And this is the tail and the body, and it curves into the head, and then the head's crooked this way. So I have this big C shape. And then I came up here and I defined the tail more and then the hip. So the animal is curled up. This is their little round rump hip area. Their feet would be kind of off this, tucked under here. You're not going to see a lot of that. And then the tail comes up from the base of the body. And some of this might be exaggerated and illustrated, not necessarily exactly how a fox looks, but this is the tail. We're going to have a white end on the back side. And now the head, the most complicated part, we're just going to break it down into simple shapes. So first we're going to take this triangle shape here. So that is the base of the head. Triangle kind of pushing in. This little foxy is going to have these big white kind of fluffy cheek area. So I just drew that around. Let me draw that darker and then we'll lighten it up. So this line inside goes away. Okay, it looks a little funny now, but it will all work out in the end. Okay, and then on the end of this little triangle is the nose. It's just a little kind of square rectangle on the very end. We're going to draw an eye for a sleeping fox that's closed like that. And then when we paint this, it's going to have kind of a shadow line that goes right over the eye that emphasizes that very narrow snout and jaw. This white area doesn't have to go all the way down, but it'll be more up here. Okay, and then ears. Our fox needs ears. We're just going to do kind of two slanted, rounded at the top, triangles this way. They're going to be black on the outside and another triangle this way. Okay, and there is our Miss Foxy. We're going to lighten everything up. I'm also going to put some stylized leaves and branches around, and we'll get to that. A lot of that's going to be painted in, but just kind of, you can make it more circular. I'm just kind of making it a wisp across the page. All right, I'm going to lighten up my lines. And let's mix some colors. All right, I already have magenta here on my palette from previous painting. So I'm going to take some yellow. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow and mix that in to make a lovely orange. Now, if you have orange in your palette, a convenience color orange that you really like, great. And this magenta already had some purple kind of mixed into it a little bit, so bluish undertones. So it is making more of a kind of rust color orange versus a bright, bright, vibrant orange. So it had some of this over here mixed into it. So if you have a bright, bright, vibrant orange and you want to take it down and make it a little more earth toned, you can definitely do that with adding a little bit of blue or a purpley shade. I'm just going to clean out this side because I don't need any of this purple color here. I'm actually going to put some yellow or some lighter. So this will be our darker orange base. I'm also going to take some cadmium yellow with just a hint of magenta and make this a much lighter orange. You know, you really could use also, instead of magenta, you could go with a warmer red. So you could use a scarlet or a cadmium red if you wanted it more of a true orange red. Okay, so those are two oranges, orangey yellows. I'm going to start with this one here, and I am just going to put a layer of this down. I'm just going to paint the whole body this color. All the way up to the edge of the tail, and at the edge of the tail we are definitely going to blend it out to basically white. We'll have a little bit of color in there, but mostly very light hue. And then along the bottom, I'm going to pick up some of that darker orange. So this section in the middle is going to be the darkest, the section around the head where the body bends, and then along the back is going to be the lightest at the end of the day. But this is just our base. We'll paint in shadows in a bit. Okay, so there's our body. I'm going to rinse this off as that dries. I am going to use a really light version of this. We're going to go across the head. And it's all going to kind of look flat for a little bit in similar value until we build in lots of shadows. So the top of the head looks very flat, but this section underneath here, like under the brow and the top of the snout, is going to be darker. I'm going to create a highlight on top and then a shadowy area underneath. The ears we'll save for last. All right, so this section next to the fox's face, we're going to go back to this really light yellowy color. I'm actually going to switch brushes to my smaller one. And this I want to, oh, definitely not that color. I want to portray it as white. But it's going to have a little color in there. We'll go in with some more shading later, but we're just going to give it a little very light. So same as like the tail, they're going to look white once we, I keep hitting that camera, add all of the additional details in. and darker colors in. All right. We are gonna have to let stuff dry though over here. Okay. So you can kind of see where things are going. Let's give this is almost dry. We're gonna give this some more shadow. This is going to go really dark right inside here where the tail meets the body. And around the head. I'm going to pick up some Payne's gray and some magenta and some yellow. Maybe I'm going to throw a little green in here with the magenta. It makes a lovely brown. And we're going to come back in and we're going to do another layer. This one's all about layering. Because we got to let things dry a little bit. We really want to play up the roundness of the body, the base of the tail. This section is definitely going to be. Let's get some more yellow in here. There we go. That looks more foxy-like. Blend this out. And again, you can see, even though there's color on here, the darker I go and the more dramatic I go with the other colors next to it, the whiter or lighter it starts to get. I'm just going to blend this out to the top. So rinsing my brush off, wiping it off, so I can get a nice transition. Then I'm going to have to let this all dry, but you can see how it's taking on a nice shape now, becoming a little more three-dimensional in the illustration. One more layer, I think, right now, and then we have to let things dry. All right, everyone, take a break, let things dry, finish blending out, and then I'm going to come back and we'll add in some more details. All right, we're back with our adorable little cozy fox here. I'm going to go in with my smaller brush. I'm actually going to go with some Payne's gray over here and add some magenta. And I'm actually going to add some sap green. A little yellow maybe. Well, that was a lot of yellow. But that's okay. Magenta, sap green, and some Payne's gray. This nice dark deep brown. I'm going to go in with that right here. The base. I'm going to rinse off my brush. Get rid of most of the water. and just use what's there. Okay, I'm going to go back to the base of the tail. I'm going to add another layer down here. Just to go a little darker, we're going to do some wisps up into the white area. And then we're going to give a little more attention to the face. So this section below the eye, we're going to go a little darker. Really leaving that highlighted area on top. After that dries, I'm going to take a look. I might go a little bit darker with that highlight. It looks a little too pronounced, but let's put on the ears first. So the ears are black for the most part, or I'm using Payne's gray. Outside. We're going to make the inside a little bit lighter. Oh, you cute little foxy. And I'm also going to darken the nose, the tip here. I'm going to put the eye in a few minutes because I'm not really sure if I want to blend this out a little bit more. Maybe not. I think it might be okay, but I want to give myself the latitude to be able to go back, and the eye will just get in the way of that. Okay, this is where the white of the face meets the white of the tail. So I'm going to put some shadow in here. Just some very light Payne's gray. I'm going to put some up in the tail itself just to kind of bring them together. Both a little bit of a dirty white. White from afar, but they all have shadow and a little bit of a little something extra. Okay. That's looking pretty good to me. I could definitely do more layers. I could definitely make this fox more orange, but I want to get to the greenery around it. Let me take a little bit of this Diarylide yellow, and I am just going to do basically a glaze over the whole thing just to make everything more orange. So I mixed it with my magenta there, and I'm going to blend it out. So I started dark at the darkest spots and just giving the whole thing a more orangey tint to it. You can definitely just leave, if you liked your color and the way it was working for you, you don't have to do this step. I am just washing the whole thing in just a little another layer of this orangey color, but blending it out to the highlights. Okay, perfect. Let's add some of that greenery. I'm going to do mixes of Payne's, or no, mixes of sap green. Get my bigger brush out here. And sap green with phthalo blue. With a little Payne's gray. So these two kind of green colors. You know what, I'm going to add a little magenta to this to make it a little more gray. Kind of a gray green. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to do, you could do brown branches. I'm going to keep everything leafy. And I'm going to do a couple different ones. So this one I'm going to do tiny little rounded leaves. Like that. And let's see. Over here we can do more of a blue-green color. And we can do longer, thicker leaves, or longer, not necessarily thicker, just longer. Working with a smaller brush gives you more control over the area, but you hold a lot less paint and water in it. I often get frustrated with how often I have to reload it, but that's just part of it. I'm definitely going to do some more tucked up close here. Let's do some on this side. I'm going to switch to my bigger brush. So working on brush control, getting way up on the tip of that brush to get that thin, thin line. I am going to do my best to do some almond shaped leaves, and then I also want some rounded shaped leaves, like almost like eucalyptus, or let's do something over here. Sorry if my hand is in the way. Go right up to the edge of our little fox. All right, let's go with our bluer color, blue gray, and do something like right over top here. I'm actually going to let that dry a little bit, but we're going to do some more. Of a rounded, almost like club or heart-shaped type of leaf. And you can see I'm overlapping. There we go. All right, let's tuck some more leaves up around this side. Let's get some more sap green. Don't worry, we'll put in the fox's eye. We're just letting everything dry. So I'm going to do one kind of up this way, nice and close. Not my original intention, but I'll make it work. And I'm going to go in with darker, smaller. I'm going to let that dry first, actually. And then I'm going to do one more branch over here that'll be darker and smaller. That kind of connects over this area. And then we'll be done with our cute little fox. Okay, let's put in the eye. So I'm okay with this highlight here, actually, now that everything is dried. I've had some time to adjust. The paint has kind of calmed itself a little, so I just put a little bit more black on the nose, and I'm going to just draw in, paint in. Little sleeping eyeball. There we go. So let all of that stuff dry. I want to make this even darker, but I'm afraid it's going to overpower because it is the center of the painting. There we go. Just a little bit darker in there. Okay, my sleepy little fox. I am going to go a little bit darker right here. Of course, as soon as I put the eye in, I've decided. To go darker. All right, now I'm going to leave it alone. Leave it alone. All right, I think these are dry enough over here. We're going to go one last I'm going to go more blue. And we're going to do almost like a fern like leaves. Do the parallel thing on the other side. There we go. I think we're done. All right, I hope you enjoyed painting our little fox here today. Our little nose did bleed a little bit because I didn't let it dry into there. Let me see if I can pull that little shadow out. It's a little too, there we go. Too black. Okay. Thank you for joining me for this little fox painting illustration. I'm Shayna Sorcy. Don't forget to check out the description for links to supplies and materials. Go ahead and leave a comment, share with a friend, and like the video, subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all, take care, and I will see you for our next Watercolor Journal page very soon.